Okay, let's talk TVs. If you've shopped for one recently, you know it's a bit of a jungle out there, right?
Oh, absolutely. Acronyms everywhere. HDR, HDMI this, refresh rate that.
And the big one, QLED versus OLED. It sounds similar, but is it? It's really confusing for most people just trying to buy a decent television.
It really is.
Um,
And they often get lumped together, but they're fundamentally different beasts.
So that's our mission today. We've looked at a bunch of comparisons, reviews, tech explanations, and we're going to cut through all that noise.
Yep, distill it down.
We want to figure out the real difference between QLED and OLED, so you know exactly what you're looking at and what actually matters for you. Think of it as your shortcut.
Okay, so let's start with the names. It actually tells you a lot. OLED is organic light-emitting diode.
Organic, got it.
And QLED, that's the one Samsung really pushes, stands for quantum dot LED TV.
Quantum dot LED, so still an LED TV, fundamentally.
Exactly. And that is the critical difference. It dictates almost everything else. QLED is what we call a transmissive technology.
Transmissive, mean light passes through something.
Precisely. Think
Yeah.
of it like a really advanced LCD screen.
Yeah.
You've got this big LED backlight, right? And it has to shine through several layers to create the picture. One of those layers is that quantum dot film.
Okay, so it needs a backlight. What about OLED then?
OLED is completely different. It's emissive,
Emissive?
meaning it emits its own light. It ditches that backlight entirely. Each tiny pixel makes its own light. And that one change, getting rid of the backlight, well, that's where things get really interesting. It solves some big problems.
But creates new ones.
You got it. Trade-offs everywhere.
All right, let's unpack the QLED story first. It's kind of the evolution of the LCD TVs we've known for years, yeah.
Pretty much. It takes that standard LCD panel and adds a layer of these microscopic things called quantum dots.
And what are these dots actually doing?
They're incredibly cool, actually.
Yeah.
So the LED backlight usually shines blue light. This light hits the quantum dot layer, and depending on the exact size of the dot, tiny differences in size, they emit super pure red or green light when that blue light hits them. Combine that pure red, green, and the original blue.
And you get much better, brighter colors than old LCDs?
Exactly. Wider color gamuts, more vibrancy. It's a clever enhancement.
And Samsung really ran with this, didn't they? Introduced the dots around 2015, then the QLED brand in 2017.
That's the timeline. But it's important to remember, while Samsung dominates the marketing, QLED itself isn't exclusive to them.
Right, like TCL makes QLEDs.
Yep, TCL, Hisense, Vizio. Some use the QLED label. Others just say they use quantum dot technology in their high-end LCDs. It basically signals a premium LCD-type TV.
Okay, so that's the enhanced backlight approach. Now, OLED, you said it gets rid of the backlight completely.
Gone. Millions of tiny little organic subpixels, each one lighting up or switching off independently.
Conceptually simpler almost, less layers.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
But making those organic pixels reliably and affordably, that's been the challenge. It's led to a kind of arms race.
Yeah, LG was the big player in OLED panels for ages, right?
Dominated it. But then, just a couple of years ago, 2022, Samsung jumped into the OLED game. But not with standard OLED.
This is the QD OLED thing, quantum dot OLED?
Exactly. They decided to combine the two techs. Take OLED's perfect blacks and try to add quantum dots on top to boost the color and brightness, QLED's strong points.
Trying to get the best of both worlds.
Pretty much. And LG didn't stand still. They hit back with MLA micro-lens array technology.
Micro lenses, what do they do?
The tiny lenses on the panel itself. Their job is basically to focus the light coming from the OLED pixels more efficiently, making the image brighter without driving the pixels harder. It's all about boosting that brightness, which was OLED's traditional weak spot.
So the competition is fierce, and it's actually blurring the lines between them.
It absolutely is. The performance gaps are closing fast, which is great for you, the buyer, but maybe makes the decision even trickier.
Okay, let's dive into that performance. Picture quality. If you talk to movie buffs, they always mention one thing about OLED.
Contrast and black levels. This is OLED's traditional killer app, hands down.
Why? What makes it so much better?
It goes back to that emissive thing. Each pixel makes its own light. So if the picture needs to be black in a certain spot,
That pixel just turns off.
completely off, zero light emission, doesn't get any blacker than that.
And that gives you infinite contrast. I see that term thrown around.
Literally infinite contrast ratio.
Yeah.
Think about watching stars in a night sky. On an OLED, the star is a bright point, and the space around it is perfectly, absolutely black because those pixels are off.
No light bleeding over from the star.
None. Or think about movie credits, white text on a black background. Perfect separation.
Okay, I get the perfect black part. But QLEDs are often advertised as being much brighter. Doesn't HDR, high dynamic range, need brightness too? Why does OLED often still look better for HDR?
Ah, that's a fantastic question, and it gets to the heart of how we see. Our eyes are actually much more sensitive to contrast differences than they are to absolute peak brightness levels. Yeah, imagine you have one TV hitting, say, 1,000 nits. That's the brightness unit, but its black level is a bit grayish. Now, another TV only hits maybe 800 nits, but its black is absolute zero.
The second one would look punchier, more dimensional?
Exactly. That huge difference between the brightest bright and the darkest dark makes the image look more real, more lifelike, even if the absolute peak brightness is a bit lower. That's the magic of infinite contrast for HDR.
And this is where even the best QLEDs struggle a bit because of that backlight.
Precisely. They have clever systems like local dimming, where they break the backlight into zones that dim independently.
Trying to mimic OLED's pixel control.
Right. But even with hundreds, sometimes thousands of zones, light still leaks between them. You can't completely isolate a bright object next to a dark area.
That's the blooming effect, like a halo around bright things.
That's blooming. And just generally, the blacks aren't truly black. They're very dark gray. You just can't beat turning the pixel off entirely. The light source is behind the picture, not part of it.
And it's not just contrast. What about washing from the side of the couch? My old LCD was terrible for that.
Viewing angles. Another big win for OLED. Because the light is generated right at the pixel surface and aimed forward, the picture looks pretty much identical even from way off to the side.
So no more arguing over the sweet spot on the sofa.
Hopefully not. QLEDs, being LCD-based, inherently suffer here. View them off-angle, and the colors tend to wash out. Contrast drops. It's just a limitation of how light travels through those LCD layers. OLED solves that. Uniformity across the screen tends to be better too.
Okay, OLED clearly wins in dark rooms for contrast for viewing angles, but let's flip it. Where does QLED strike back? You mentioned brightness earlier.
Right. Let's talk pure raw light output. This is where QLED, especially the high-end ones, takes the crown.
They just get brighter.
Significantly brighter, yeah. They can hit peak brightness numbers that current OLEDs just can't match, though, as I said, QD OLED and MLE OLED are closing that gap quickly.
So if I walk into a bright store, the QLED might look more impressive initially, and if my living room is really sunny,
then QLED is definitely your friend. It has the sheer power needed to overcome ambient light and still deliver a punchy, vibrant image during the day. If you have lots of windows, lots of daylight, QLED's brightness is a major advantage.
But there's always a but.
But if you primarily watch movies at night in a controlled, dimmer environment, that extreme brightness might actually be overkill, maybe even a bit fatiguing on the eyes.
And like you said, brightness without perfect blacks doesn't always equal a better HDR experience.
Exactly. Often that slightly lower OLED brightness combined with the infinite contrast delivers a more compelling overall HDR image. But again, for bright room viewing, QLED has the edge.
Okay, so brightness goes to QLED, especially for bright rooms. What about other picture aspects like resolution, color?
They're pretty much on par these days at the high end, both readily available in 4K, even 8K if you have very deep pockets.
And color accuracy. Processing.
Very comparable. Most high-end TVs from reputable brands have excellent color accuracy and sophisticated video processing, regardless of whether they're QLED or OLED. Although the QD OLED tech we mentioned, it's particularly known for fantastic color volume.
Color volume.
Meaning the colors stay really vibrant and saturated even at very high brightness levels. It's another area where Samsung tried to merge QLED's strength with OLED's foundation.
Interesting. Okay, let's shift gears from picture quality to, well, the practical stuff. Money, size.
The real-world decisions, yes.
Yeah.
Size flexibility is a big one for QLED because it leverages that mature LCD manufacturing process.
That can make them in all sorts of sizes.
Pretty much anything. You can find QLEDs from, small 32-inch models all the way to massive 98-inch screens, even bigger.
And OLED, more limited.
Much more limited, yeah. Manufacturing those large, perfect OLED panels is complex and expensive. So the sizes tend to cluster, 42-inch, 48, 55, 65, 77, then big jumps to 83, 88, maybe 97 inches at the very top end.
So if I absolutely need, say, an 80-inch TV, QLED might be my only realistic option.
Or if you want a very large screen without spending a fortune, definitely.
Which brings us neatly to price. Is there still a significant price gap?
Oh, yeah. Especially at larger sizes. QLED generally gives you more screen inches per dollar. For example, a good 75-inch QLED might cost, significantly less than the starting price for a 77-inch OLED, which is usually north of $2,000, maybe $2,200.
So for big screen bargain hunters, QLED is the clear winner there.
It's a major advantage if budget for size is the top priority. The premium for OLED definitely scales up as you go bigger.
Okay. Now, we have to talk about it. The B word. Burn-in.
Yes, the elephant in the OLED room.
Is it still the Achilles heel people make it out to be, this risk of static images getting permanently stuck on the screen?
Look, technically, yes, OLED's organic compounds are more susceptible to permanent image retention, or burn-in, than the inorganic materials in QLED LCD panels. That's just physics. But for the vast majority of users, the risk is incredibly low these days. Really negligible.
Why? Have the TVs gotten better?
Yeah. Both. The panels are more robust. And crucially, modern OLEDs have built-in mitigation features. Things like pixel shifting, screensavers, automatic dimming of static logos. Lots of clever tricks to prevent burn-in.
So who actually needs to worry about it?
You need a specific, quite extreme viewing pattern. We're talking about watching the exact same static content for many, many hours every single day, for months or years, often at high brightness settings.
Like leaving a news channel with a bright logo and ticker on all day, every day?
Exactly that. Or maybe a hardcore gamer playing the same game with a fixed HUD, heads-up display, for 6 to 8 hours daily, pausing frequently with the HUD visible.
Okay, so if you're like most people, watching varied stuff, movies, different shows, maybe some gaming, some sports,
you are extremely unlikely to ever encounter burn-in on a modern OLED. The fear is often way out of proportion to the actual risk for typical use.
But if you are that news junkie or that dedicated single game player,
then QLED offers complete peace of mind. Its inorganic quantum dots and LCD structure simply aren't susceptible to that kind of wear. It's a valid reason to choose QLED in those specific cases.
Right, that makes sense. Okay, let's try and pull this all together, the final verdict. If we just put picture quality head to head.
In a room where you can control the light, dim it down for movies, OLED still delivers the superior overall picture quality. Those perfect blacks, the infinite contrast, the viewing angles. It creates a depth and realism that QLED, even high-end QLED, can't quite match in those conditions.
But QLED isn't just a runner-up. It has clear scenarios where it's actually the better choice.
Absolutely. We've hit them. But let's recap. If your room is very bright, QLED's higher light output is a major plus.
If you want the biggest possible screen for your budget.
QLED gives you more inches per dollar, especially above 65 inches.
And if you fall into that specific niche of displaying lots of static content,
QLED completely eliminates the burn-in worry. Peace of mind.
So, to help you, the listener, make the call, we've sort of boiled it down to 5 key questions to ask yourself, based on everything we've discussed.
Good idea. Lay them out.
Okay, number 1, how bright is your room? Lots of windows, daytime viewing, lean towards QLED.
Makes sense.
Ew.
2, where do people sit? Wide couch, chairs off to the side. OLED's viewing angles are a big advantage there.
3, how big do you want to go and what's your budget? If huge screen is top priority and budget is tight, QLED is likely your answer.
4, what kind of content do you watch most? Constantly watching the same news channel or playing one game for hours on end? QLED avoids that burn-in risk factor.
And finally, 5, what's your absolute top priority? If it's the best possible contrast, deepest blacks, and most cinematic image in a controlled environment, OLED is probably still the king.
That sums it up pretty well.
So the big takeaway really is, don't just buy the label. QLED OLED. They're starting points. Your room, your viewing habits, your priorities, that's what should drive the decision.
Exactly. And things keep evolving. Samsung is working hard on something called emissive quantum dots, trying to make QDs emit their own light like OLED. That could be a real game changer down the line. No backlight, QLED color, no organic burn-in risk. The theoretical ideal.
The holy grail, maybe?
Maybe. But if you want a glimpse of the really expensive future today, look at micro-LED.
Ah, yeah, heard of that. Isn't that like individual tiny LEDs for each pixel? Inorganic.
Precisely. Like a giant stadium screen shrunk down. It promises OLED's perfect blacks and contrast, QLED's brightness and color, and zero burn-in risk because it's inorganic.
Sounds perfect. What's the catch?
The catch. Current models cost well over $1 million.
$1 million. Okay, maybe not for my living room just yet.
Not quite. But it raises an interesting final thought for you to ponder. How fast does this tech move? That $1 million picture quality today, too, what will it cost in 5 years? 10. And maybe more relevant right now, what price are you willing to pay today for that perfect black level? Is OLED's premium worth it for you? Or does QLED hit the sweet spot of performance and price for your needs?